There we go. All right, so what we're doing today, so yesterday we went over strings, and I'll pull up what's called this. So this is stuff we're going to go over shortly. But so a string is anything with quotation marks. That's green, right?
Wait, why did the quotation marks?
Because I'm not necessarily, because if I print it, there's a difference. It does hello. But if it's not being printed, it's just, if it's not actually going through the print function.
Because that's a return, not a print, right? That hello with parentheses is a return.
I think so, but but when you're doing a return in functions, it'll still return it without the quotation marks. But basically, it just tells you the difference between integers,
right.
Strings, lists, and things like that. It will put the brackets if it's just displaying the information and not printing the information. Hello, Alex. Here you go, bud. Your schedule. So basically what we're doing is just reviewing everything that you learned in Intro to Python for the next 2 weeks, and next Friday you'll have a quiz on it. So I'll put videos of everything I say online, so if you do miss a day or you're late, you just want to review, you can look at that.
Can I take one of these mouses?
Sure. Just make sure you put it back. Alright, so a string, I can add hello. So if X is hello, I can also do Y is world.
Oh, with a space there.
So if I do X, hello, Y, I can do X plus Y, and I get hello world. Z is X plus Y. Oops. Z is hello world. I can also do X plus world.
Oh, you're not going to get a space?
Right, I'm not going to get a space because it will literally take the end of the first string and add the beginning of the next string to it. Whereas if I print, I can do this exact same thing. I get that, but if I were to make this a comma, I get that space.
Wait, can you make the separator an underscore instead?
Mm-hmm. And we're going to get into this with when we get into the print function later.
Ooh.
Boom. So.
Oh, so if you wanted to, you could put the separator as any character.
As any character, yeah, and I can also.
That's the difference between Python 2 and Python 3.
And I can also.
Function is more useful.
And I can end this with whatever I want.
That's cool. So it just said
So it
the
will.
function just has more choices of what you can do.
More power, yeah, more things you can do to it, as opposed to just print and then this thing, its actual function you can add to it. Yes.
Yeah, right. So you put separator as a variable.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
What version of Python is it?
3.6.2 or 3.6.4.
Oh, he's got 64-bit.
Because he has.
No,
He has.
mine is a later version. Mine is an
he has
earlier
a Surface
version.
4 or whatever.
He has a Surface Pro 4. Yeah. So go and download Python 3.6.4 or whatever, not 2.7. So that's one thing you can do with strings. Another thing you can do with strings that it's not typically used too much, but it's really good to know, is you can multiply strings by a number, which normally you can't, right? X is whatever. I can't add 2 to hello plus 2. However, I can multiply it by 2 and then get hello, hello.
I didn't even know that.
I can't divide by 2. I can't do anything else, but I can multiply it by 22 and get it 22 times. You can do the same thing with lists, and I'll go over that with lists, but you can multiply an empty list to have,
How do you multiply something that's empty?
I'm sorry, not empty, but if I have a list of just 0 times 7, it's going to give me 7 times this 0. So if I want to create a blank list, how many things do you want in this list? 14? Okay, 14 is the length of the list. I can make a list with basically nothing in it.
So if you put P instead of 0 and P equal to some dictionary or list or something, like if you put P to equal 1 and 2 and multiply it by 7, what would you get?
Wait, say that again, Zach?
If if you got it to equal like
P is what?
1 and 2, because like it's a dictionary or whatever.
So 1, 2, like this.
Yes. Well, no.
It'll just whatever P equals,
No,
it'll
you put
copy
that-
it
you put
7
the P in
times.
you put the P in the list. What if you multiply it by
Yeah,
dictionary?
list. That's what I meant. Not.
So I put the
What are
P.
you talking about?
What?
I don't know.
So then why are you asking?
Because I want like, do you know? So that would it like, okay, a list, and it was 1, 2, and 3, and then would it choose different, like?
No, it just copies it.
Okay.
Once you, it just
Okay.
So wait, you put that P times 7 and it got inside of a list. Is that because you put the brackets around P?
Well, because I made P a dictionary.
Yeah, but then you put brackets around P in the P times 7. What if you remove the brackets?
I can't add a diction. I can't multiply a
So you
dictionary
can't
in
multiply
an
dictionary, you can only multiply a list.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, so that's all about strings. Okay, so the print function. So we started going over this. You can end any print function with whatever you want, and you can also separate it by whatever you want. It's a good idea to know. So instead of, if I wanted to print, so let's make P equal, and I wanted to print each one of these on a new line, it'd be really kind of difficult, right?
No, I'll just use a for loop.
Well, that too. Okay, hang on. So if I print, maybe this was a bad example. For loop, you could definitely do it. I was trying to do it in one. Print P, you can't do that. All right, whatever. We're just gonna do print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we're gonna go separate is \n for a new line, or let's do \t for a tab, and then we're gonna end this with \n \n.
It's separated by tab. That's pretty funny.
And then I have two blank lines, or 3, because it went from this line to one line to another, and there you go. Does that make sense?
That makes
I
complete sense.
have a question. Did
Yeah.
the school limit our speed for download?
Yeah. You're stuck at 3 megabits per second.
It's not even.
Yeah, it's not even that, because it's taking 4 minutes to download 20 megabytes.
3 megabits per second is just shy of 0.4 megabytes. How many megabytes?
20.
I have 30 megabytes, and it's going to
30
take
megabytes.
a whole 7 minutes to download.
Wait, so if you have 0.3 megabytes,
0.3
0.4, it should take you,
About
give or
7
take,
minutes.
100 seconds.
3 or 0.3?
3 megabits is
Bits?
about,
okay, divided by 8, okay.
yeah, you divide that by 8, so it's like 3 and
Yeah, it's
7,
almost
5.
400. It's
Almost 4.
380 or something.
Yeah, worst case, yeah, just leave it and keep going. Yes, Alex. 3.6.2. So go to just basically Google download Python. The very first option is python.org. Click it, and then it'll say download Python for Windows. 3.6.2 is what you want.
And now it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
What?
He probably just started downloading.
If you don't have 3.6.4, as long as you have 3.6, that's the latest one. And it's important to have 3.6 because those of you who had dictionaries,
That's what we just started downloading.
guys, with dictionaries, they are now stored not randomly, they're stored in order.
Oh, that's so nice.
So those of you who remember dictionaries where it's stored in a random order and you're not 100% sure what order it came
But
in.
why? I don't understand why they did that.
I don't know either, but they fix it so now it's now whatever order you create it is the order it stays in.
That is so nice.
Even though I don't remember.
And now wait, now can you use
I remember it being hard.
You can't use indexes still.
Well, you can't use indexes? Then why would they? What the fuck?
I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know.
Work it out, Brian.
We can't use indexes for dictionaries still, even though.
So you have to use the key.
But that's the whole point of storing it. Now it doesn't even matter if they stored in order because we can't use.
I don't know, or
Can we like
Ryan.
put things in at specific places?
It's 20 megabytes.
I think so, but I don't
Why
know.
would it even matter if you use indexes? That's the only
I don't.
Why did you invent Python?
All right, guys, calm down. Okay, Forge, just It's a chance to practice patience. Right now, you guys aren't coding. You're just, this is reviewing. So all of this stuff is in your book, which is actually a really cool book.
Thank you.
So the length function. You guys remember the length function?
Yes.
Tells you how many objects are in a certain data structure. So if I have P is hello, what's the length of?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Gonna give me 5, right? So yes.
How well can you incorporate Python with something else? Say you have a TXT file. Can you have the Python to count how many letters is in the
Yes.
TXT
You're
file?
doing review.
Yes, that's in the book. Yeah, you can read and write files, and we're gonna get to that.
Okay.
So this, I don't know how many.
I think it's 22 times 1, 2, 3, or 7.
21. So there's 21. You can do the same thing with dictionaries. So
do spaces count as a
in strings, yes.
string?
In
But you can just sort it out to get rid of spaces if possible.
so I only have one key value pair in this dictionary. I have 21 elements in this dictionary.
Wait, how is there only one in that dictionary?
There's only one key value pair,
So that's what it's counting, not total.
not total things, because this is.
So like order?
So I'm gonna get to dictionaries, but we'll get to that later. I'll explain what it is. Right now, all you need to know, there's only one actual thing in here. It just consists of 2 parts.
How flows differently with the count?
How much?
Still 2 minutes.
Still 2 minutes? Oh, then just chillax.
Word's like freaking out over here.
So you have string, integer, and float.
It says 3 minutes.
You can switch but you can indiscriminately change between floats. So if I have x is 9.8,
The int of x will be 10 or 9.
int of x is 9. It just gets rid of the decimal. It doesn't round it. It just gets rid of it. So basically it rounds it down. And then now if what it does, now this is important. It doesn't rewrite what x is if I just do int x. It just gives you the integer version of x. So in order for me to successfully rewrite x, I'd have to do x is int x.
Yeah.
And now x will forever be 9, not 9.8. If I want to switch it back to a float for multiplication purposes, I do float x, it's going to give me 9.8. Or I'm sorry, 9.0. Then I can also do string of x, which is just 9. Now, what'll happen if I do this?
You will get 9 9s. Wait, because no, x is a float. Oh yeah, no, work.
If I do this as a float x,
Yeah.
what will happen?
Will give you an error. Or will you give you? Yeah.
I can't multiply sequence by a non-integer type of float.
So it can only be an integer if you want to multiply something.
Exactly.
Can
Or
you
multiply
round something
by a
in
string.
Python?
Can you round something?
You can round it down. You can round it up.
You can round it down, but you have to import math to round it up.
Okay.
Because you never want to round stuff up forward.
Almost never. Well, the only time you would is, okay, how many how many people are eating? Well, it's an average of 9.8 people. Well, let's just round up to 10 to make sure we have enough food for 10 people.
It's the only time.
Only when you're counting food for people.
Or scores for kids.
No.
No, we always round down
We'll
for
do
school.
bad
No,
inside.
only-
We do it down.
You don't round up for that.
What happens to that one poor kid who got 99.9?
What up, Josh? I almost said John. I'm sorry.
Oh, there's Josh.
Oh,
And Eli.
They said Josh, right?
We're joining like flies now. What's up, boys?
So we got Eli. That S3, Alex Gun. You remember the login? S3 first name last name / warrior. No. Okay, so it's S3. Your full name, Alex. I can't remember if it's Alexander or Alex, whatever. Your last name, I can't remember how to pronounce it. / warrior. But your login, S3, your first name, last name, can't be more than 15 characters. And then the password is courage, C, ! Ryan, go sit down.
Sorry. Goes to Japan to go for the.
All right, guys, come on. Let's just keep going. So all we're doing is reviewing. I'm going to make sure you guys are actual tardy, not tardy plus absent. You guys have another 8. People have another 8 minutes to join before they're tardy and absent. So
I use the bathroom.
I thought
yes.
it was 15 minutes.
On block day, it's a half hour because it's a third of the lesson. So Eli, you're just tardy. Josh, you're just tardy. Sam's probably not going to be
No,
here.
Sam isn't here at all. He's doing a college visit again.
Still.
I think.
Ethan.
Or he's
Anyone
probably
know about
taking a break.
Ethan
No, I don't think he's gonna be here.
and Zach?
But I'm not for sure.
I'll just mark him absent.
I mean, he would text me or something if he was gonna be like 30 minutes late.
Okay, so if I have hello, will this work?
Will what work? No, that won't work. You crazy?
Right, you got to have a number if you want the integer version of it. Makes sense. I can't make a word a number.
Well, you can count the hello since there's infinite numbers. Hello has to be a number eventually.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Binary. I learned how to count binary yesterday.
How does that have to do with anything?
Because it can go down to zeros and ones.
Yes, I know. No, but what he's saying is no.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
No.
It's just yes,
You can-
no.
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk about this later.
Yep.
We'll talk about this.
Stolter.
All right. So you guys can flip in between integer or floats, just depending on what you'd want to do. I recommend only do integers for like rounding. If you take an integer of a float, do that at the very end. It's very similar to rounding in math. Do all of your math, do all of your calculations with floats, and then at the very end, use an integer version or format it. You guys remember how to format?
So when you float, when you float it, it doesn't make it something. It just displays it in a way that rounds it up.
So like here, float x. I just did the x. I did the float version of x. I didn't make x actually a float.
What happens when you multiply float x by 2? Does it give you 18 or does it give you 19.6? Because if the float x is 9.8.
No, because right now x, I've rewritten x to be the integer version. So x is just equal to 9. And so if you have an integer that's 9 and you make that a float, it will make it 9.0. It won't rewrite it as anything else.
So float is like 9 point something, and the integer is just 9.
Yes.
Okay,
So a float number has a decimal of some kind.
I messed it up. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
What happens when you multiply an integer x when it was a float, like say 9.8? You integer it and it becomes 9.
Yeah.
What happens when you multiply integer x by 2? Does it give you 19?
So when I have, it'll give you 18.
It would just give you.
It'll just give you-
So x is 9.8, and then I have integer x times 2. Is this what you're saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It'll give you 18.
Because you said just use float in all of your calculations.
Exactly.
And I thought float means round it up, so that's why I asked.
Oh, no, float is just make sure it has a decimal. Well, it's like rounding in math.
Yeah.
You don't round at the very beginning of your calculations. And then the other thing is format x. Do you guys remember this? Formatting stuff, formatting decimals?
Oh wait, I don't recall. I don't recall at all.
Okay, so format, this is actually really useful, especially if you're dealing with math, or I'm sorry, not math, money. The easiest one to do is comma to f. So what this is doing,
Oh, you put the comma in the parentheses.
you're supposed to.
Boy.
Format x, we're on format x is, oh,
This is a float.
dot. Not a comma. So what this will do, so this is saying I want it to be a float with 2 decimal places.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so I can do 1,000,000 and it will just have like 1,000,000 zeros. That was 100. Wait, what the heck?
I have no idea why I don't know.
So we found a glitch.
I don't know why that is.
We discovered a glitch.
That's just, I don't know.
Rounding error.
Make it more. Make it like 10,000. Let's see what happens.
Okay. No, there's nothing besides that one little part.
Well, go up first.
Hang on, we're not at the very big.
It's right.
It's still there. Excuse me.
That's really funny.
All right. Well, apparently 9.8 is not exactly 9.
Not according to Python. And you can also throw. So if I have, format, comma. I can put. I can just put a comma there, and what it will do is it will add commas where necessary.
Oh, that's pretty.
And you can mix the two to have .2f. So that's this right here, comma period 2f is very, very important when we're dealing with money to display the information correctly.
Wow, I used to have a function that I called in a program that added the commas for me, and it took forever to program. And I could have just done that.
Yeah.
Easy command. I feel for you. I feel for you.
So there you go. $989 million. Billion dollars.
$190 billion.
Okay, so you guys, so far, this is where we're at. We're just about to get into if statements. So far, does anyone have any questions on variable names, types of variables, mathematical operations, concatenating strings together, multiplying strings, the print function, the length function, how to change between string, integer, floats, or the format option, or the formatting of numbers?
Sounds good to me.
Oh, I already fixed that, Mr. Vishnoff.
I have a question.
Yes.
I just finished the install and it has an option to disable path.
Yes.
Disable the path limit.
Do it.
Wait, actually?
Yeah. If you didn't, that's fine. It's just basically if you have a bazillion folders and the file path name to your where you save your stuff is longer than 250 or 255 characters, it kind of freaks out. So you just
somehow I doubt that's gonna happen.
yeah. So unless it's
Full name is longer than 250.
If it's like A, if it's A times 255.
yeah, whatever. So it's just to be safe.
No,
So if statements, these are my book's in my office. Who has their books?
I could get it online. I don't
Gosh, you guys need to bring your book to
I
class.
don't have a book.
I'm just saying, you need to bring some sort of online or physical version of the book to class.
Wait,
Everyone has an online version.
That's fine, as long as you can get it, because
Well, my book's in my locker. You want me to go get it?
Mine's right down the hall.
Mine is not right down the hall, but it's still in my locker.
no, I have this here.
Wait, what's it called? Automate the boring stuff?
Automate the boring stuff. So here's an if statement. You guys remember inputs? Do I have to go over inputs for you? No, I did that yesterday.
You did
Yeah,
that
yeah, you did.
kinda yesterday. Well,
It just switched from
you
wrong.
didn't go over all the inputs. You only went over some of them.
Yeah, there's only 3 that we're gonna use: strings, integers, and floats.
What about images?
That's totally on camera.
Is it chapter 1?
Inputs are on chapter 1, yeah.
Still
Everything we've done so far is
What are
in
we
chapter
doing now,
1.
then?
We're going on to chapter 2, which is flow control, which are if statements and loops.
Ooh, my favorite.
So we have, so for coding, we have if, so let's go, x is 100. If x is greater than 100,
But it's not.
print
No.
x is,
It's just S3, your name, and then warrior. Courage. There's no dot. It's just S3, your name. So there's no space, there's no.
and this is, I'm going to say this to advanced
Backslash,
programming
No, well, that's after.
in class
We're talking about
chapter 2. So, obviously x isn't greater than 100. So this is an if statement, and this is really, really useful in programming, as you guys all know. If x is greater or equal to 100,
Then now it'll print it.
right. So if this is true, if this Boolean expression, now Boolean expression is, what? Boolean. What'd I say?
just made that up.
Boolean. I don't know, it doesn't matter. Boolean expression, if it's true, it will execute this code. If it is false, it will not. That's basically all you need to know with an if statement. You can add, let's go, y is 0, and y equals 0. It'll work. Or I can have or
How do you run something?
Yeah.
F5.
I just turned my. Oh, I did.
Because you have to hit the function key, make sure the light's on.
You have to save it.
Yeah, and you have to save it. So after review, I would recommend putting a folder on your desktop called Python scripts, and saving everything into there, because when we get to the point where you hit Windows R and then you type in your function name, whatever you save the file as, it will then run it, as opposed to, okay, let me find the file, let me double click it, let me edit in idle, and then let me run it. You just, it's super cool when you do that in front of people. All right, so Boolean expression. What else can I use? You can't use nor. You can use if not.
Ooh, you can't use more.
You can't use nor.
Oh.
So if x is not greater or equal to 100, you run it. It won't print anything.
So then how, if we, what is this, is there a substitute for nor? Because
Yeah, you just put nor somewhere. Or not.
What? When would you use nor?
didn't we, wasn't that in the old one?
No, we had not, or, and.
Oh, no, no. I thought
No.
Can I use X or?
No, I don't think so.
I would assume not. That's kind of a joke.
No. So this is just if statements, Josh. So if you want to follow along in the book or copy the code or whatever. Again, there's just going to be a quiz on everything we've reviewed on Friday, which is everything you've learned in Intro to Python. It's not going to be super.
The whole intro to Python.
Yeah, I just give you your final. Or you have to build a video game in 15 minutes. That's it.
Oh my gosh, I need to.
Then you have else if.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Which is, so if x is greater or equal to 100.
You never used Pygame, did you?
No.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
It was super
Alright.
glitchy though.
It wasn't super glitchy.
Yeah, I think it had some pretty bad
User error.
The game we made was fine. It's just, the only issue is if you had too many arrows. If you had 2 arrows hitting the same badger because you were spawning arrows faster than the game could keep up.
Oh, when we did the scroll mouse spawn, that was sick.
Yeah.
I still remember my game where we run it the first time it glitched, and we run it the second time, it didn't change anything, and it worked just fine. And that bothers me
It's
because
programming, dude.
nothing changed, and it just works fine now.
What? Fine, you should just sit down.
Yeah.
Well.
It's super distracting. You do this at all my classes.
Fine, I'll just stand in the back of the classroom.
Stop being an ADHD guy.
Alright, so if x is less than,
Wait, what's Elif? I can't remember.
else if.
Oh, Elif.
Why don't you just use
So-
2 if statements? It doesn't really.
Because, so you want to use, so in like video gaming, if I only want them to move in one direction at a time, you have if, elif, elif. If I want them to move on a diagonal, I would have if statements. If I have grades, and depending on the way I code it, I could get multiple grades for the same score. So if my score is 95 and I write it, if the score is greater than 90, you get an A. If the score is greater than 80, you get an A. If it's greater than 70, whatever.
Yeah. Then you'll get,
You'll get multiple grades, but if you code it, if it's above a 90, you get an A. Else if it's above an 80, you get a B. Else if, elif, you get above a 70, you get a C. As soon as one of those is true, it does whatever code, it executes this code, and then jumps out of that if statement block.
We don't need though, because you can just do if it's between 80 and 90.
You could, but that just adds more stuff for you to code.
Well, that's what I did the entire time.
I'm just
Never
saying,
used a single
it's
elif.
elifs are useful. I'll
Yes,
say that.
Sorry, but I didn't use a single one ever.
And then else is everything else. Print x is crazy.
Good. It's good.
X is greater than 100. So if we then make this -9. Oh.
You made it impossible to print.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
So-
Let's use imaginary numbers or something.
No, I just have to go.
Yeah.
Oops.
You're trying to compare it.
Okay, so let's go.
Just do if.
And x is greater than 0.
Oh, what? No, come on. Show us how to make X crazy with that code.
So you want x to be j.
Yeah, because it's
But
going to try to test it. You have to use a lot of try and accepts. That's so
Yeah.
annoying.
Well, you could get it to count how many
If
characters are in it, and then that'll equal 1.
no, I'd have to add.
No, just do a try X int.
We haven't gotten there yet, okay?
Well, it's freeing. It would make it significantly easier than whatever you're trying to do.
I was just gonna go if x, whatever. I'm not gonna do that right now because it's distracting and lazy. Not lazy, but we need to get. I actually need to teach what I need to teach.
Fine, still, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I gotta be a teacher of some kind.
Random int? Like, is it rand int?
That's
Yeah.
That's just what you import random. Yeah.
But that we're gonna get to that in just a sec. One, so in your book, you guys need. I feel like I don't need to go over these because it's you guys are in math and you guys understand greater than, less than. Do you guys need me to go over this?
Never heard of that before. You're good.
The only thing that is this one's really important.
You're the one who got. You're the only person who brought it.
Exclamation. No, Tommy brought it. Exclamation point equals stands for not equal to.
Yes.
You have greater than, less than, greater than, less than, equal to, less than, equal to, and then this one is equal to. So you'll hear me say x equal 10 means if x is equal to. X equals 5. So can you guys explain to me it just in words, I guess, the difference between x is 5 and x equal 5 and x equal 5.
X equals 5 is setting x as like the value of 5 versus x equals 5 is testing whether x is 5.
Yes. So one is an assignment, x equals 5, and the other one is a comparison, x equal 5. Does that make sense? Okay. Alex, you good? Cool. What's next? Elif statements, else statements, while loops. So while loops are a lot of fun. They can allow you to do a bunch of stuff. Who here has ever been trying to type in a password and they type it in wrong and you hit, 10 tries and you have to wait then 10 minutes?
Every day when I try to hack Stolper's computer.
Don't. So there's a couple ways you can do that. For typically you would do a while loop. So while I am counting, so I keep a counter of how many times you've tried, and while that counter is less than 10, allow you to do it. Otherwise, do something else. So one thing that happened in Intro to Python was while x is less than 10, people would put inside of this if statement what would happen if x is greater than 10.
Well, that ain't gonna work.
And it would never ever happen. And they wouldn't understand why their code isn't working. Is because, well, if x is greater than 10, it doesn't get into this while statement at all. Right? So we'll do x is 0, print.
What do you add a space in between x, space equal, space 2?
That's just how I type. It doesn't matter. Mate, you can totally do this. I just do that just because it's easier for me to read it.
Hold on. You're gonna print something in a while loop?
Yep.
It's dangerous.
Only if you don't know what you're doing.
Oh.
No.
All right. Well, what are you gonna put after that? X minus 1. X minus equals 1. Oh, plus equals. Did you have a less than? Oh, you have less than.
So then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So x starts at 0, and then each time it goes through the while loop, it adds plus equal 1. Now this right here is really important. This is really, really good to know. It's called an accumulator operation or a running total. It's very similar as if you had a wallet with no money and I give you $1. How much money is in it? And you put it in your wallet. How much money is in your wallet?
$1.
Then I give you a 5 and you put it in your wallet. How much money is in your wallet?
$6.
Then I give you a 10. How much money is in your wallet?
$16.
Right? It's a running total. What happens if I then take 5 out and you have 16?
$11.
Okay. You can do the same thing with multiplication. So I can multiply this.
Well, then it's go run that.
Yeah, it never stops.
You don't know what you're doing.
I totally know what I'm doing. X divided by, all right, let's make 1. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's going to get the same thing.
Yeah.
And then if you guys ever do get a never-ending loop like this, if you just hit Control-C, it's a keyboard interrupt and it stops the code, crashes it. While loop, what else? So you can also use, so let's go, y is hello. So while h in y print hello, and then we're just gonna actually get rid of that. So this would be a never-ending loop. What it's doing is while H here, so it's evaluating whether or not H is inside of this string hello. So you can do this for dictionaries, you can do this for lists, you can say, as long as Eli's name is in this list, continue running this program. As soon as we take Eli's name out, do something else. You can do while the length of hello of y is less than 5.
It's great. Great job. Now you can press Alt F4 and land it too.
Don't even try that with me.
Dang it!
You think I'm the computer science teacher and I don't know what Alt F4 does?
Mission failed. We'll get it next time.
Well, I mean, like sometimes people are just like will make a really dumb mistake.
Like not thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah. Okay, let's try that.
Like on Minecraft when I was like really young, and somebody would be like, "Here, just type Alt F4 and you get 3 diamonds."
Boom!
But when you were you were that kid, like when you were really young playing
When I was like
Minecraft.
9.
All
right,
playing Minecraft,
guys.
Everyone played Minecraft when they were little. Come
Dude,
on.
I played Minecraft.
Are you gonna tell
Dude,
me
I didn't play Minecraft. I played World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
9
you
years
still
old.
play World of Warcraft.
I played.
I actually don't play. I kind of wish I did, but I don't.
Okay, all right, everyone bought the vanilla.
All right, no, we're done.
They came out with vanilla World of Warcraft. They're like creating like servers that are vanilla. It's like the original.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that. All right, so while loops. So you can do that. You can use indexes to go through.
Oh my god.
While the index.
Indrex.
Chinese guys do.
And we have names is, I'm just going to shorten this up. So we have Josh, Ryan, Forge. I'm not going to do everyone.
Hesitated so long to
Z,
put in my name.
Eli. Alright, I'll just put everyone in because I don't want anyone to feel left out. Brian, Alex, Tommy.
No.
So while index is greater than 5 x's input, do you want another name? Ethan Stoneman.
Bro, how far away do you live?
45 minutes. Plus 10 for the goods.
And then you can do x dot or names dot append x.
Wait, what does dot append mean?
So what dot append does?
Add something to Goodreads.
Oh, hang on. This needed to be length.
You should add E to the list because Ethan just walked in.
So while length of the names, because names is a list with 8 or 9 people, I can't remember, is greater than 5, do I want to add another name? I do. I'm going to add E. And as long as my...
You already have
Hey, if you press Alt F4, you know it'll.
Stop it, Ryan. So you can use while loops to do a bunch of stuff. You can also use for loops. Let me just make sure. Oh, break and continue. This is actually a really cool thing. Break.
Well, let's continue. I didn't know that.
Actually, let's take a break right now. You guys have, I'll give you guys about 5 minutes.
Cool.